Welcome to Bir New York şarkısı today. We're joined by three master artists, world-renowned oud virtuoso and composer Ara Dinkjian, master kanun player Tamer Pinarbasi, and master clarinet player Ismail Lumonovski are in our studio today to talk with us about their recently formed trio and their first album, Soundscapes. We will listen to some of the songs from this album and we will enjoy some live music today in the studio. I would like to welcome you again, Ara, and I would like to start talking with you about actually yourself, first of all, your music. I tried to introduce you, and we tried to introduce you prior to this program in our advertisements. For those listeners who follow us, who might not know you, we gave some information in Turkish language to our listeners. But we would like to hear from you about yourself. If you could give us some information about your biography, a little bit about your music life, we will really appreciate it.
Well, sure. First of all, Mayor, thank you so much for having us here. We're really happy to be here. And as far as my own biography, if you will, I've found this phrase that I feel very comfortable with to identify myself with, and that is that I'm an Armenian in America. And that kind of says everything about who I am. It has both my cultural history and my present history in it. And as far as my music is concerned, I can tell you that my father, Ara Dinkjian, and remains a wonderful Armenian folk singer.
Right.
And so I grew up in a house where there was lots of music, both sacred music, folk music, and popular music. My father being a deacon singing in the church, I became the organist at the Armenian church, and right now I'm in my 40th year as the organist. So I have that background. Of course, I studied Western music, but in the house there was both Armenian folk music and there was Tashplak, the old Turkish music, because my father's parents were from Diyarbakir, and my mother's parents were from Harput.
Right.
So this music was also in the house, and so it was all part of my upbringing, and there was an oud in the house, and I just fell in love with the instrument and the music, and continue to try to learn, and explore that music.
So Tamer, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your participation in Secret Trio and New York Gypsy All Stars, and you can also talk about your musical background, where you came from, and how you ended up in New York, and then we will hopefully talk with Ismail about those topics too.
Okay. Türkçe konuşabilir miyim?
Tabii ki, buyurun.
Merhabalar. Ben İstanbul Teknik Üniversitesi Türk Müziği Devlet Konservatuvarı'ndan mezunum. 1994 yılında Amerika'ya yerleştim. Ondan önce Türkiye'de yaklaşık 1000'e yakın albümde çaldım. Birçok isimli insanların albümünü de çaldım. İşte Orhan Gencebay, İbrahim Tatlıses, Sezen Aksu, Sibel Can, ne bileyim, daha sayabiliriz. Ondan sonra 94 yılında buraya geldim. Ara'yla tanıştım 95 yılında.
Evet.
O zamandan beri çalışıyoruz Ara'yla ve bizim her zaman aklımızdaydı böyle bir albüm yapmak. Ama kısmet bu seneymiş. Sonra İsmail de katıldı aramıza.
Evet.
Daha doğrusu İsmail sebep oldu bu albümün olmasına. Konuşuyorduk işte, yapalım falan filan.
Ne kadar dobre dojdofte. As far as I know, you are fluent in Turkish, too.
Well, I can speak well, I guess. People can understand me, but sometimes I have a hard time to.
You can talk to. You can make your voice heard from here to all listeners who are listening to us in Turkish, if you feel comfortable, or even in your language, if that's even more comfortable, and in English as well. How did you end up in New York, and how did you decide to get together with Ara and Tamer to make this wonderful, groundbreaking new album, with a new concept in chamber music?
Well, I came here first 10 years ago. I came to a summer camp at Interlochen, which is in Michigan.
Oh,
So I went there for 2 months to study, to exchange. You know, I played Western classical music. That's how I came here. So I had a very, very good experience in those 2 months at the arts camp. And the teacher that was, the clarinet teacher invited me to go and continue my studies at the same school, at the academy of the same school, which was a boarding school, boarding high school. So I went there for 2 years. I had a full scholarship. The school is very, very well-known school for arts in the States. It's called Interlochen Arts Academy.
yes.
So I went there for 2 years, and then I came to New York after I studied there for 2 years. I finished my undergraduate and graduate program at Juilliard School of Music in classical performance. So when I came to New York, I met first Tamer. I mean, when I came here, you know, of course I started meeting people, you know, like because I come from Macedonia, I know a lot of, I knew some Macedonian people here, musicians, you know, I had some contacts, and then I started making some Turkish contacts here.
Sure.
And then I always heard about Tamer's name. I didn't know him actually, you know. So Tamer was always in my thoughts because everyone was talking about how special his technique is and how incredible his musicianship is. So there was this day when we played together actually. It was it was for some kind of event, I cannot remember. But I went there, and of course, you know, I didn't know him, he didn't know me, but of course physically, but I had heard a lot about him. I was very excited to play with him, and you know, we just said hi, and he was very cold. I mean, I think that's, you know, like, just he says hi. It's a New Yorker, you know, like so I said, you know, this guy is like, you know, why is he like this, you know? But he's like that, you know, his nature is like that. And I was kind of, you know, you know, I was hoping to get more from him because, you know, I've heard about his great musicianship. But after we played, you know, and we got this connection, and everything worked well after that. We started, you know, working together and doing projects. So we established New York Gypsy All Stars together with Panayotis Andreu and Engin Günaydın. Tamer Pinarbasi is there.
Wonderful.
It's a great band that mixes folk fusion music with, you know, it's a great
Tens of
project.
thousands of followers on YouTube, on Facebook.
Yeah, it has
become very
yes,
popular around New York, around the States.
That's right.
And
even in Turkey, last days we have been very successful, I think.
I wanted to ask, actually, what is your international reception, if there's any? Are you going outside the country, outside the US, performing, and are there any projects?
With the New York Gypsy All
You've been
Stars.
very successful.
Yeah, actually, we have done 2 major tours in Turkey with the New York Gypsy All Stars, and both of them were very, very successful. We played in Antalya Jazz Festival. It
so
was
nice.
great in Aspendos. 10,000 people attended the concert. It was a great
Terrific.
experience. We played in places like Kayseri. We played in Ankara International Festival in the first tour. We played in Babylon, Jolly Joker in Istanbul. We went to Elazığ. We went to different places, like, you know, places that I would never imagine to go to. But it was a great experience. We had a lot of fun.
Ara, I would like to talk really briefly about your journey. You know, you can interpret this word actually in many ways to Turkey and Greece. It could be your musical journey you can talk about, and what did you discover there, and how were you discovered?
Well, this really comes down to the power and the impact of music. You can say that music reached me in New York as a little kid from being recorded at other parts of the world. So it reached me through recordings. And then I made some music in New York, and that then went out and reached other people around the world. And frankly, most of the time, we're not aware of who it's reaching and what impact it's having. We, the musicians, the composers, are usually surprised to find out there are people that heard your music around the world. But again, it speaks to the power and the impact of music. And so what do I find when I travel? I find a common human condition. I find people around the world with the same problems, with the same issues, with the same fears, but with also the same joys in life.
Right.
And it's the music that allows me to meet them, and that brings us together. And in some cases, they are people who otherwise I certainly would not have met.
Right.
So I'm grateful for this thing that we call music. I'm grateful to serve it because I believe it is a very positive and a very powerful and a good force in this world.
Evet dinleyiciler, sevgili dinleyenler, şimdi Sezen Aksu'dan bildiğimiz o çok güzel Vazgeçtim canlı yayında stüdyomuzda Ara, Tamer ve İsmail'de. So do you think your music or what your trio does with combining those different traditions in music, do you think those societies, the people, even the politics, the politicians of those people might think of reassessing their similarities and their common things that they share instead of being victimized by political games, I have to say?
Yeah, I personally don't concentrate on the politicians' behaviors or goals. I look for human beings who feel the same way I do, which is, like I said before, we've discussed it, that general human condition, which is the same around the world. And I believe this group is an example, one of the many examples of the musical fraternity that has always felt that way. You can go back hundreds of years.
Right, we have many folk songs in sung in Turkish, like Sarı Gelin or Bingöl, folk music, Bingöl türküsü, and they were composed, or they originally they were Armenian. And what should people think? What should people see? How should people look at things? Look at those things for a better future for Armenian and Turkish people and the conflict that we have.
Yeah, I'm a musician. I'm not a philosopher or a politician. But if you're asking me personally, I think there's two things. We need to respect the differences between us, literally respect them and appreciate the differences, and at the same time celebrate the things that we have in common. It's a simple formula in music. Maybe in reality, in life, maybe it's not as easy, but you know what? Musicians don't have a problem. So maybe we should be following, not us, the trio in particular, but the artists throughout history have been basically lovers, from what I've read. And I know we're all proud to be part of that. And forgive me if I take advantage of this time to say that the Soundscapes CD by the Secret Trio will be released in Turkey in September.
Right.
But until then, it's available on Amazon and on iTunes.
Right.
I just needed to tell you.
Yes, we will repeat that. We will remind that. Thank you. Let's hear from Tamer. Your thoughts for our listeners today.
CD'miz çıktı. Eğer dinlerlerse
Evet.
bizi anlayacaklarına inanıyorum.
Çok teşekkürler.
Rica ederim.
Ismail, please.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having us in the radio. It's been a pleasure. So this is, as we said, it's a very unique project, and I'll be very happy if people listen to it and understand it. It's actually as Ara said, is available on Amazon and iTunes, and as well in traditional Crossroads website.
Yes.
They can get it directly from there.
Mhm.
So just say love and peace.
Thank you, thank you. One last message very quickly. I'm so proud of them. Good luck on the new album, Kader Tahmaz, for all of you. And
Teşekkürler. Thank you.
to all our listeners, dear listeners, now we will start to hear some more live performance from Secret Trio's Soundscapes album and Erangi.